Welcome, 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 August SAT testers. No one is here because I barely announced this because I messed it up. But let's see if anyone joins. In the meantime, we're going to share the screen. Get rid of this because this is what I want to do. Talk about questions from the question bank. Let's see if anyone joins to do that. It's the middle of the day. Most people should be in school. Right, there we go. Some people here. Now, I'm curious, guys, before I get into some specific questions. When I create a live stream, maybe someone knows how to do this, it automatically defaults to being private. So you guys don't know that that's even happening. I did announce it on the screen, but it doesn't show up on my live streams until I make it public, right? So this was just in like a random dead link for a while. I think that's what happened. That's unfortunate, but all right, whatever. Cool. Well, thank you guys. I'm curious where you are all studying from right now. I picked a random kind of time, knowing that most people who live where I live in Los Angeles, California, would be in school right now. But I keep doing these in the evening when they're home, and then people miss it because they're at different time zones. So New Jersey, okay, that's good. That's a normal time zone as compared to mine. So that's fine. But you're, I guess, either done with school for the day or not in school yet. Probably not in school because yeah, for the East Coast tends to start late. We used to start school after Labor Day, so like September 3rd or so. Maryland, same thing. New Jersey, okay, yeah. So you guys are you guys in school? I'm curious. September 4th, yes. See, that's to me, August is a summer month. It is not a a school month, and yet I had students starting like August 8th. That's crazy. Turkey, yeah, you're definitely a different time zone. Azerbaijan, Dubai, 11 p.m. Okay, so this is why I did the 12 p.m. Is I knew that the other side of the world kind of gets shortchanged sometimes. So figured this would be a good way to kind of give everyone a little bit of a chance. Just so you know what I'm hoping to do, I really don't have anything planned. Pakistan, welcome, welcome. I got a great score on your July SAT. Cool, very nice, very nice. Hopefully we can add some points in August or September here, if that's what you guys are taking. I had no real plans of things to cover. I thought that hopefully I would have more time this week to make new questions, or sorry, make new videos for the stuff that's in the question bank. But I really it's just busy. It's just really busy. And so I wasn't able to do that. But I figured I was getting comments. I got to catch up on YouTube comments. So if any of you guys have not been responded to yet in your YouTube comments, that's I'll get to it. I'll hopefully get to it tonight. But it's been a busy couple days as we get ready for the August SAT. So my thought is, if there were particular questions from the SAT question bank that for some reason I've never made a video for, you could ask, and that way I can maybe just figure it out on the fly here. But that was kind of the plan. I haven't, and this is good for you guys too, because I haven't looked at any of the new math questions. I haven't even looked at them. I don't even know which ones are the new ones. I've barely been able to get into this. Of course, they release all this new stuff like at the most busy time for tutors. But if you are interested, okay, someone already did it. Thank you, Soft Skies. I'm sure there's another syllable in there, but it's great if you can give me that the code. And basically what I'll try to do is find it. So it's also helpful though if you can give me what grouping it's in. So I think if you know that it's even just reading or math, that's already good. Because honestly, so here, I'll go to math. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check all these. This is the educator question bank, by the way. And this is kind of stupid, but there's no way for me to like search everything as far as I know. So that doesn't really work. It's reading. So let me duplicate. And I'm also trying to not spoil things. So that hopefully will work. Reading. Okay, just get all this in here. If you know the difficulty, if you know the domain, the skill, that all helps me narrow it down. Though I do think there are websites that allow me to search by the Control G. Control F here, but it doesn't work because if I do that, and then do, what was the code? Where'd it go? 5F56F DEC. 5F56F DEC, right? So here's the problem, right? Is it's searching just this page, but there's 32 pages of reading questions, right? All right, so craft and structure. Okay. Oh, the one prep thing. What's that website? One prep XYZ. You could try it. I don't know. I don't really use these things. These make me nervous, but am I going to have to log in? Because I don't want to do that. I don't have a login. And I can't search, it looks like. So let's just do this. Craft and structure. Skill. Reading. Oh, well, if you have a question about a practice test, that's all on my website. Just search for that exact thing, ZM. That's in my website. All the YouTube stuff has that. Yeah, I think I don't want to have to log in. There's another one of these things that doesn't have a login. Let's try this. Boom, there it is. Okay. So try not to look at the answer. I can tell it's at the bottom, but I'm not looking at it. So let me do one of these. I love that it's a poem. Okay. Do that. Put it here. So I don't think I've seen this question before. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to kind of ignore the chat while I do this. So these. Love a poem, love a poem. This means dumb summaries are going to be awesome. So let's try this. My spirit swoons and all my senses cry. That sounds bad. For ocean's breast and covering of the sky, rock me to sleep, ye waves, and outward bound. Just let me drift far out from toil and care, where lapping of the waves shall be the sound, which mingled with the winds that gently bear me on between a peaceful sea and sky to make my soothing song. Okay, so lullaby, slumber, soothing, gentle, peaceful. This is calm. Calming is something going on. To illustrate the increasing intensity of the speaker's desire to escape ongoing hardship by gliding on the ocean. Is it really that negative? Drift far out from toil and care. I don't know that it's increasing. Let's move on to B. To contrast the demands of the speaker's everyday life with the serenity of being rocked to sleep by the ocean. Is it really a contrast? To convey the speaker's longing for the ocean to impart a sense of inner tranquility. I don't know that it's necessarily a longing for the ocean. That feels a little too on the nose. To justify the speaker's qualms about being transported by the ocean to a quiet destination. So qualms, that's a good word you might not know. Qualms are like just like hesitancies, the things you're kind of nervous about. But like, no, the person clearly wants to be drifted. So that's the only one I know is like really wrong. Let's look for an increase in intensity. Rock me to sleep, just let me drift. Doesn't seem increasing. I don't know. That bothers me. Contrast the demands of the speaker's everyday life. Just let me drift out from toil and care. Maybe. It doesn't seem like a huge contrast. To convey the speaker's longing for the ocean to impart a sense of inner tranquility. Is there longing? Yeah. I don't know. This is hard. This is a good question. I would definitely be bothered by this during the test. So yeah, what do you guys think it is? I see some people putting in. You guys think it's C. I like that because it's the weakest one, right? Increasing intensity feels like a quantifier, so I don't love that. Quantifies things to caress the demands of the speaker's everyday life. There's only really one thing that's about the demands of everyday life. I don't even know that it is everyday life. It's just toil and care. So to impart longing seems really strong, but spirit swoons, all my senses cry for ocean's breast. That's longing. So, okay, I would pick C. Let's see. I genuinely don't know. Yep, choice C is the best answer. Okay, so this would be a case where I'm placing a bet, right? I was pretty sure it was C. I kind of agree with you guys, but I definitely do not know the answer to this question. This is a good example of me just being like, well, a word that quantifies things is a pretty bad bet. This contrast, I don't really see a strong contrast here, so that seems kind of wrong. So that's a good example of like, if I had to pick something, C, like, especially if I had like almost no time left, C barely says anything at all. The word longing is the only thing that I'm really skeptical of. There's definitely inner tranquility. That's easy to find, right? We said calm was the main summary. They talk about the ocean briefly. I didn't really care so much about that, but longing, that's such a strong word. But I feel all my senses cry for ocean's breast, right? I really want the ocean. Yeah, I feel like that's good. What do you guys think? Let's see. All my senses cry. Yep. Aaron's on the same page as me here. Tranquility. Yeah. Well, what did you think? Shreejan, I didn't see what you put. Were you thinking D then? Uh, Longing means like you really, really want something, right? You think of that in kind of like a romantical kind of Shakespearean sense of like, I long for you, Juliet. I must be with you, you know? So longing is deep, deep desire. And so that's why I thought that was a strong word. But yet we have this kind of like, all my senses cry. Like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, I cry for the ocean's breast, meaning like I cry out for it. I really want it. I need to be there. So it's a word I notice, but it's a word that checks out. And that's the thing with strong words is they're not always going to be wrong. You have to kind of just notice them and then go looking for them. But to be clear, I did not know what this poem was saying when I read it. I kind of get it. I get some repetition, but overall, yeah, it doesn't do that for me. So that's pretty good. Good pick. Good pick. Cool, and welcome. I'm not joking. Can I pronounce the X as a J? Is that what the point is there? And thank you. Yes, thank you for joining the membership. For those of you guys who are out of question bank questions, I know they added the new ones, but if you're still out of them, remember my channel membership has access to a bunch of questions that I've written. There's an explanation after every single one. So if you like these explanations, those are questions completely written by me. And I also now we have a with my partners at Test Score Prep. It is right here. I will show you. No, not that one. This one. If you are interested in actually having the ability to kind of interact with those questions, we have a free trial now of a platform. It's in beta still, so there's still some bugs to work out, but it's really great. A great way to analyze your answers and start to keep track of things. There's an ability to kind of take notes on all the questions. So it's a really great way to make sure that you kind of have a little bit more organization to your prep. And if you do end up being interested in that, there's a free trial. And then if you want to purchase it, you can use my code MS20 for 20% off. So make sure you do that. But let's get back to the question bank here. Is there anything else? Any other requests from that? Let me look at some questions with you guys here. I got one here. Olivia, info and ideas. I might have done that one, but let's take a look. So let's see. Info and ideas. Okay. Oof, 478. So this is where to go. B6. See, aren't these so annoying? B69, D82, 1D. If they just had a search feature that searched everything, this would be so easy. College Board, if anyone is watching, just add a search feature. It's so easy to program that. So now I got to go through all the pages and check. So more information you guys can give me about where you find these questions is better. I know this is, poorly prepared, but this is the best I can do under short notice. Normally, I would find much better ways to organize this. Nope, not on 8. Not on 9. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's see. Oh, another poem here. Okay. Okay, these are answer choices. Let's see if I can get this in. I don't see the answer. I'm not looking. Okay, pull that in and pop that there. Let's make it a little bigger so I can read it and you can read it. Okay, that's good enough. All right. Context is this person's evening, stars or ship's mast. You guys don't like the poems. The spars are ship's masts, moorings are ropes that hold dock ships in place, and a riding light is a light that a ship shines when it is anchored. Main idea. Okay. When little lights and little ports come out, quivering down through water with the stars, and all the fishing fleet of slender spars range at their moorings, veer with tide about. When race of wind is stilled and sails are furled, and underneath our single riding light, the curve of black robed deck gleams palely white, and slumberous waters pool a slumberous world. Then and then only have I thought how sweet old age might sink upon a windy youth, quiet beneath the riding light of truth, weathered through storms and gracious in retreat. So to me, the only passage or part that matters, this part, it's about age, time, maybe, youth, and then it's good to get old. So something like that. Old is good. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Main idea. Tranquility to port in the evening can incline a person to appreciate the stillness of old age. Maybe. The difficulty of bringing a ship into port is apt training for dealing with the types of. No, this is connotations. This is negative. This is not a negative poem. A person who leads a long life that is varied and active may find it difficult. Nope. To stay in a calm place. Nope. The contrast between the peacefulness of a port at night and its activity during the day reflects the contrast between the calm of old age and the vibrancy of youth. Again, that word contrast comes up. I don't feel like they're making a contrast. They're just talking about getting old and it being somehow like a pleasant experience. So tranquility fits. They're talking about a port, right? There's a boat. Check. In the evening, I guess it's the evening, right? They talk about light at various points and stars. So okay, fine. Incline, meaning make someone want to do something. To appreciate the stillness of old age. Well, old age is quiet, so that's stillness. Fine. You appreciate it, right? It's sweet. I don't know. Looks good to me. Great example of like I don't know what's going on with the poems. There's such a great experience of like you've got to just trust the process. Like I don't know what I am reading, maybe until the end. We've got a strong word, sweet. There's lots of words I don't know, but if you don't know the word sweet, then I don't know. You're not going to do well in the SAT. Like that's not a hard word. And sweet old age, yeah, it's positive, right? So focus on that, and there you go. But all the others, notice even just the connotation. This is a positive poem at the end there. These are choices B and C are certainly negative. This is a great one. This is a great question too, because it really, I think one of the things that's going to happen when you guys take the test and you're a little bit nervous is you start to doubt the strategies. You read this poem and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to get my 1400. This is terrible. This is so hard. I don't understand any of this. Yeah, well, I understood 3 words at the end, and that's all it took to get the question right. So, like, there you go. It doesn't. You have to stick to the plan. You have to trust the process. Like the dumb summaries work. Yeah, that was a good question. Let me see what you guys are saying about it. Very hard to do this and chat at the same time. Oh my God, I feel like I'm way behind on the chat too. My face covers the answer choices. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got it. There it is. See, this is why it's hard to do the chat. But notice it's on the left as well, right? It's on the left side. And we should make sure that A is the answer. I actually don't know. Yeah, okay, A is the answer. Perfect. So there you go. So yeah, not particularly exciting, this question, in a sense, because it's very by the book. So there you go. Let's see. Mary, for the past 3 tests last year, I didn't see any poems questions at all, but still got a 650. Are poems not as common as we think they are? That's a good question. I think that you're probably likely to get a poem in some way on every single test. But I think a lot of times it gets disguised, right? This is a clear, like they just gave us the poem, but I don't want to go digging for one. But remember that there's those illustrate the claim questions where the poem is kind of in the choices, not in the question. So I believe those are these central ideas and details. Let me see if I can find one fast. Nope. Nope. They're probably hard ones. Let me just search that way. Hard. Okay. I bet I can find one. It also bothers me that I can't just hit like a next button and go to the next question. Kind of an annoying thing. College Board, great at making a test, terrible at letting you sort through all the stuff. There's another poem. Nope. Nope. Oh, maybe it's not central ideas. Actually, no, I don't think it's central ideas and details. I think it's command of evidence. Ugh, these are so poorly labeled as well. No. This is stupid. You guys, I'm boring you. This is a waste of time. Okay, but they're called these illustrate the claim ones, and basically those are ones where the choices are the poem pieces, but those are really good because they just give you a sense of like, oh, this is what you got to go looking for. You don't even need to understand the context of the poem; it completely removes that. So those, I think, they've actually made less common on the test. I really like those questions, but I don't see them as much anymore, which is a shame because I really do like those. This is not one of those, but this is pretty close. This is one where they see there's quotes in the choices, so that's kind of similar to what I'm talking about, but that's not it. And I'm not going to find one, of course. This is these stupid graphs that I hate. Graphs that I hate. I have videos for like all these, by the way. So this is stuff. If you have questions about these, this is what I'm talking about, right? Illustrates the claim, right? So you don't have to do the question, but point is, look, the passage is like a sentence, and they tell you what they want. It takes comfort in understanding the world around her. This would be a good example of just like think about the choices as ones that involve comfort. This is technically a novel, but to me, it's the same as like a poem, right? A lot of them are poems. They're just throwing in some random thing. You have no hope of understanding the bigger context because we don't know the book. We don't know the full poem. So the poem thing creeps in, but it shouldn't matter. It's kind of like we don't know which vocab words we're going to get, but ideally we've studied in a way that it really doesn't matter. Same thing with the grammar rules. We don't know which grammar rules we're going to get, but ideally you're like, okay, no matter which grammar rules I get, I'm going to be comfortable because I know them all, right? So the poem is just, to me, the same as a complicated science experiment. The content doesn't matter. There's going to be plenty of words I don't understand, but the overall idea will be very, very understandable, right? I'll be able to kind of like get some sort of dumb summary, some sort of context, and then I'll let the choices tell me what to care about. That's where it gets really, really useful. Cool. All right. See. All right, I got a bunch. Okay. Mathsium, I see yours. So I'm going to try to do that. If you can give me some details where that is. 881 BA 6F1. Reading, writing, information, ideas, central ideas and details. Oh, so I'm kind of in there. Skill, central ideas. Oop. And did you say it was a hard one or no? All right, I'll find it. Because I only did videos for the hard ones recently, so that's part of that. So this is 881 BA 6F1, and now we hunt. All right, is it there? Nope. Is it there? Yep. All right, so don't look at the answer. Don't look at the answer. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, I have a video on this one already. I have a video on this one. The hand one? Yeah. This is not a new question. Hold on, I can tell you. I can share that link. Give me a sec. That word putatively, I will never forget that word. Oh, maybe I can't do it. My website is down. There's a big problem with the websites. But this is, let me come back to this one if maybe the website will work, but this is definitely on my site. This might be from a test. This might be from a test. Yeah, that's from a practice test. So I don't want to do that one either because it's definitely on a test. Yeah. So I forget which test, but if someone can help there, that would be good. I can find it eventually. Again, my website's down there. I normally use to find all these questions, but it's just that, of course, it went down literally 10 minutes before this stream. So Mathsium, I am sorry, but I will try to come back to that one. We'll see. Okay. Geometry circles. Ooh, yeah, let's do some math. I'm excited for some math. Okay. So this is Diksha's question here. Let's see. Math, geometry, circles, easy. This is cool. If you guys can give me this kind of level of information, I can find it. F24. Boom. Okay. Again, let's try not to look at the answer. It's so small. Can I make it bigger here? There we go. There we go. Okay. But I'll just put it here. All right. All right, so I'm definitely using Desmos here. So that says 565 pi over 6. Yeah. So yeah, 565 pi over 6. What is the value of that? Oh, just go to Desmos. So Desmos, and we're going to do check to make sure you're in radians, right? Because this is definitely radians, because anytime there's a pi in the question or in the angle measure, it's going to be radians. And Desmos defaults to radians, so that's good for us. So literally, we can just do cosine of 565 pi divided by 6. It should be 0.8666, which means it's not A or B. And so that's gone. And then just test these out. I don't think root 3 is right, but square root of 3 is not right, but let's confirm. Divided by 2. There it is. Yep. No reason not to use Desmos there. Definitely use it. I don't know what actually, let's even look. Let's see what the College Board explanation says here. Oh my God. Okay. The cosine of an angle is equal to the cosine of n 2 pi radians more than the angle, where n is an integer constant. Oh my God. Since it's equivalent to 47 2. Who would solve this way? Oh my God. This is why, yeah. For any question, guys, no matter how easy it seems to you, try to see if I've got a video explanation of the question first, because good Lord. I will say this, though. I did see some TikTok going around of someone trying to scare everybody about the unit circle. You don't need to know about the unit circle for the test, really, because it's not really going to be easy for me to pull it up. But remember, the unit circle, if you've ever learned this in school, it is a circle that has a radius of 1. And so all the points along the edges are, kind of along the axes, I should say, are going to be easy points. Something like 1, 0. Down here, we've got 0, -1, right? Just go 1 in each direction. So that's what the unit circle is. Circle with a radius of 1. And when I learned it, we had to learn all these little points around the circle and memorize all these things about them. But all of those points, the reason to memorize them is that they basically formed right triangles where the angle was either 30, 60, or, I guess 90 as well, or 45, or some multiple of those things. So, where have I seen those angles before? 30, 60, 90, 45. Those are all the special right triangles, right? Those are those triangles that they have in the reference chart where we have, 2x and x root 3. And so all you're doing is using those to kind of match up and find a triangle. So my advice is, if the question is about unit circles, try to see if you can draw a triangle in some way. It's going to be one of these, almost certainly, or the unit circle is just a distraction and it's purely a question about angles and normal trigonometry and stuff. So just try to kind of not let it panic you. The other question about it, maybe it's in here. Maybe it's a circles question like this. Maybe I can find it. It's probably a hard one. If you guys know that question, I can do it. It's here somewhere. Basically, of course, I'm not going to find it. Now, it's a new one. Oh, this is it. This is it. Okay. This is it. All right. I'll grab it. Oop. That's what I wanted to do. Too many things on my desk. Okay. So this is not really a question, again, about the unit circle. This is a question about just basic stuff about radians. And again, because my website is down on the easy ability to pull up the reference chart. But remember, the reference chart tells you that 360 degrees and 2 pi radians are the same thing, right? They give you that conversion. So when they tell you this, right, you could just draw the picture, right? Point F lies in a unit circle in the xy plane in the coordinates of 1, 0. So that's over here, 1, 0. And then I'm going to try my best to kind of draw a circle here, right? But again, this is just telling you F is this one. But the unit circle, again, you can see the radius is 1 because this unit circle is based on 0, 0. And the radius, the distance here is 1. So when they say point H also lies in the circle and has coordinates -1y, well, -1 would be on this side. But because the radius is 1, it has to be over here. So this is, again, is this really about the unit circle, or is it kind of understanding that they gave you the center and the distance, and so you can kind of figure out the unit circle has a radius of 1 just from that. So that's not ideal, but that means that this y is actually a 0, right? Because it has to be here. Any other point along this thing is going to be closer to the y-axis, right? So it's going to be less than 1. So yeah, that does not, this is just, now we know this. So why did they tell us -1y instead of -1, 0? I don't know, just to be annoying, really. So which of the following could be the positive measure of FGH in radians? So G, remember, is the center. They gave us that. And then this is H. So this is an angle that is just this, half of a circle. So half of a circle is 180 degrees, which half of 2 pi radians is pi radians, right? Now that's not an answer, but that's what I'm looking for. But you can maybe figure it out and be like, all right, if 2 pi radians is a full way around the circle, right? If I were to go halfway around, I'd go pi. But if I were to go around once and then another half, right? Because circles are continuous, then another way to think of this is, yes, it's pi radians, but it could also be 3 pi radians or 5 pi radians. Because every time you add 2 pi, you just end up back where you started. So you can kind of already see the pattern is we're going to keep, every time we go around from this spot, this pi spot, we're going to add another 2 pi radians, but we're going to keep ending up in that spot. And so it's going to be an odd number of pi's overall. So only D has that. D is not the only answer, right? That's why it says which of the following could be the positive measure. 23 pi would have been right. 21 pi would have been right. 273 pi is right, because any odd number that's an integer is going to be fine. These fractions don't make sense, and 24 pi brings us back to where we started, which is a full way around the circle, because that's the even numbered integers. So don't let this panic you. First of all, this is the only unit circle question, I believe, in the entire question bank. It's not on any test I've seen. And so, this is not a high priority topic. You don't need to know this, is the end of the story. The TikTok I saw was someone saying this is like, you got to know this. You don't need to know this. This doesn't matter. So yeah, sometimes there's going to be random topics. The ideal situation is that you have enough time on the stuff that is predictable, that we know is going to come up in every test, that when you get to this weird thing, you've got the time to fiddle with it. But also remember, whatever question number this is, don't feel obligated to do it. So if it's number 20 out of 22, this is a definite skip, right? It's a weird geometry question. Leave it alone. Just move on. Do numbers 21 and 22. Make sure you've gotten those right. They're probably going to be much more predictable. And then you can come back to 20 with any time you've got left and try to fiddle with it. But if you just leave it blank, or don't leave it blank, guess a random letter. But if you guess a random letter and get it wrong, you're still at most really losing like 10 or 20 points. It's not going to be a big deal for your score. So it's not a high priority at all. And that just is a reminder too, that even though the questions in the math are organized from easy to hard, they're not really perfectly organized, right? Something might be hard, but it might be number 20 instead of 22. The hardest question, might be number 20 and not 22. And that's just a reminder. Don't feel like you have to go in order. One of the skills they are testing on this SAT is how you prioritize your time. So they're going to definitely put a hard question, a very hard, tedious, time-consuming question, kind of in the middle of the hard zone, not the last one, the middle of it. So that way they can test whether or not you are the kind of person who understands that that's not a good use of your time and that you got to move on. So that skill is definitely on the test. Cool. Okay. Let's see. I'm just catching up on things here. Info and ideas. Yeah, I'm going to prioritize the ones that give me more filtering mechanisms here. So the more filtering stuff you give me, the better. So if you tell me, yeah, Helen here's got an ID and info and ideas, and if you can give me more, because there's a lot there, right? Difficulty, 204. Let's see. Okay, let's just search. Maybe we'll get lucky here. E80. Did we do this one already? E80. They all sound the same. BA20D. it is. What difficulty level? Um, okay, I think I've never seen this one. Okay. Um, okay. All right, I'll try to be mindful of my head here. I know that it keeps getting in the way. Okay. All right, there we go. It's good enough for now. And remember, it's over here. I'll just keep it over here. Philosophers said that many people have an intuitive sense that while we ought not to lie, there may be circumstances in which lying is permissible, meaning allowed. If this intuition is correct and we lack an inviolable duty to speak truthfully, what grounds opposition to lying in the first place? This person has advanced one answer by appealing to a duty to respect others' agential interests. The possession of false beliefs constrains agency. Oh my God. And thus we ought not to impede the formation of true beliefs unless doing so prevents a greater constraint on someone's agency or an otherwise impermissible end. I have no idea what's going on. Okay. If I have to go back, there's an answer, right? There's a question, there's an answer. Appealing to duty to respect others, position of false beliefs constrains agency, and thus we ought not to impede the formation of true beliefs unless doing so prevents a greater constraint on someone's. Okay, so it's about agency, whatever that is. Agency is like your self-control, your ability to kind of do your own thing, freedom. Okay. Let's see. I have no idea what this is going to say. One potential means of justifying opposition to lying is this person's argument that we have an obligation to respect other people's agency that entails a commitment to truthfulness, except, okay, this seems right. So, right, because there's opposition to lying, a way of justifying it is this person's argument, right? So there's a question, right? How can we justify it? An obligation to respect other people's agency, sure. That entails a commitment to truthfulness, except in certain circumstances. They don't specify them, but there's kind of some sort of exception here, right? Unless, right? That's a clear exception word. Okay, I don't know. Let's see if B's got going. Many people, I don't love that, have an intuitive sense that lying is permissible in some circumstances, but lack a principled way to identify those circumstances. And this person's argument may provide a means. Okay, I like that too, to be honest. All right, let's just keep going. We'll deal with the complexity of these later. This person's argument suggests that if we have a duty to respect other people's agential interests, and if possession of false beliefs constrains agency, then we have an inviolable duty to speak truthfully. If we have a duty to respect the position of false beliefs constrains, no, because inviolable here means you can't break it. It is violable is kind of like the word violate, right? So we're not. It's saying something is inviolable, you cannot violate it. But it seems to me that this person is saying there's some sort of exception when you can lie to people. So I don't think it's an inviolable duty. That was what they brought up originally, but that's not what he or she says. This person's argument shows that if our intuition that circumstances may make lying permissible is correct, then it is unclear whether there are any grounds for an opposition to lying in the first place. No, I don't think that's right. That's saying, I don't think there's anything unclear. They have an argument. There are any grounds for an opposition to lying in the first place? I don't know. This feels like a one I'd be confused about. If I had to pick now, I don't know. B feels actually very, very weak. I like that. Let me go back to it. Many people have an intuitive sense that lying is permissible in some circumstances. Is that true? Many people have an intuitive sense that while we ought not to lie, there may be circumstances. Okay, so that seems true. It's a little too on the nose to maybe, it feels like a trap, but lack a principled way to identify those circumstances. Do they lack a principled way to identify those things? I don't know about that. That feels. It says that they have an intuitive sense. It doesn't say that they don't have any principles. So that feels like a trap, some problem. This person may provide a means of resolving that problem. I mean, that part I kind of agree with. So I don't like this part of B. A, one potential means of justifying opposition to lying is this person's argument So, okay. What grounds opposition to lying in the first place? Um, what grounds opposition to lying in the first place? This intuition is correct. So then why are we opposed to lying? One means of justifying opposition to lying, okay, is this person's argument that we have an obligation to respect other people's agency. Do we have an obligation? We have a duty. Duty is obligation. That entails a commitment to truthfulness, except in certain. So, clock is ticking. I'm picking A here, and I'm bookmarking the question. I don't know if I'm right. Let's see. Ah, it is A. Good, 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 good. Mostly because look what I did. I went back and forth. Every word that was strong here, I was able to prove and match a word. So just as a good example of that, because I just did it, obligation, right, and duty are synonyms. Those are the same thing. So there you go. That's a great example of just like they're using different words to say the same thing. I liked B, except that one part. It doesn't say that people lack a principled way of identifying things. That's a good little trap. Cool. All right. Yeah, no problem, Helen. Can I don't know how to like anyone's thing here that I can be like, mission accomplished. Can I tap it? No. All right, let's do this. Let me catch up in these chats for a sec. I'm gonna try, I know that it seems like oop, I just did an ad. Let's see if that works. I'm curious if anyone gets an ad. All right. All right, we got math question, Toprak. I'm gonna go to you. Algebra, linear equations in one variable, hard. Okay, I can find that. Skill, algebra, linear equations in one variable, hard. Find it. AC 47, AC 47. Boom, right at the top. Love it. Okay. All right, no choices here. I did see the answer, but that's okay. That just means we're going to have to prove it. Okay. All right. Move that up. Okay. Yes, this video will remain, Mohammed. I just saw that question. It might take a sec to upload, but yeah, it should be there. All right, so this is the kind of question I can already tell you really do want to prioritize if you're running short on time on the SAT, because it has keywords that make it really obvious what we want to do. This is being annoying. There we go. That's what I want to do. Infinitely many solutions. I have two paths, right? Anytime I see them talking about the number of solutions, I am going to think first, do I have an x squared or an x? Right? Is it a line or a quadratic? Now, this is definitely going to be a line because I don't see any x squared, so that's all that is. And when I have infinitely many solutions for lines, I know instantly that means they're the same line. So I'm going to split this. Yeah, I know the answer's on the screen. I know. But, all right, if I split it, this one's easy, right? So this first line is y equals rx minus 8r, and s is greater than 0. Okay, so I need to make this other thing look like that. I bet there's some sort of Desmos way, but my instinct is to not do that and just kind of, I don't know, let's get common denominators, right? So let's multiply this by 13 and over 13, and this by 4 over 4. I don't really care about that, right? I want the value of s. The s is there and the y-intercept. Okay, it's kind of annoying, but yeah, annoying is okay. Annoying, I don't mind on the SAT. A lot of things are annoying, but it's really when they're unknown to me that I have a problem. So 13 times 12, I don't know my times 12 times tables. This is y equals 156x plus 28 times 13 is 364. 364 minus 4s, all of that over 13 times 4 is 52. Yep, so that's 52. So this has to line up with this. So what is 156 divided by 52? 3. So that kind of works out nice. So basically, I don't care about r, I care about s, but I need to know r in order to get that. So I figured out, okay, so r is the slope here, the slope here, if I divide the 52 into everything, will be 156 divided by this 52, which is 3. So y equals 3x. So r is 3. That's the only x term unless I'm messing something up. So that's that. That means this is 24, 8 times 3. So I need this to be minus 24, this whole mess. So 364 minus 4s over 52 is equal to negative 24. All right. Negative 24 times 52 is, let's see if we get the answer. That's negative 1248. I'm trying to work around my head here. Negative 1248 is equal to 364 minus 4s. So minus 364 from both sides, minus 364. Negative 1612 is equal to negative 4s divided by negative 4. 403. Done. Yep. Tedious, annoying, but I knew the plan as soon as I saw this part at the beginning. That's the key for a question like this is they are going to ask, I know people like making predictions about the test. They are going to ask you about the number of solutions on both a quadratic equation and a linear equation. It'll happen. And I know this doesn't look like a line, but it is. It's two lines and we're setting them equal, but split them back apart and recognize that infinitely many solutions is when we have the exact same line. So yeah, I would not go to Desmos here. I bet there's some way to do it, but it is not interesting to me. I feel like I know exactly what I'm doing. There's some arithmetic. I would rather go with a plan that's maybe a little bit longer, but where I know every single step I'm doing, rather than experiment with Desmos to look for some shortcut that might not even exist. So that's also part of this. Yeah, this is great. Cool. Good question. Cool. All right, let's see. So I did that one. These are questions in the Blue Book practice. No, this is not. So I've never seen this question before. So this should not be a Blue Book practice test question. None of these that I've seen, all the ones I'm doing are ones I've never seen before. And if they're in the Blue Book practice tests, here's the way. It's not on any of the hard modules as far as I know, or any of the first modules. It might be buried in some easy module. But yeah, I can check that for the future. But these should not be spoilers of test questions. The way to check, I think, is if we do this and then do that. Yeah, it lingers. So this one's fine. And before with this one, E8, right? If we do that, and then, oh, see, this is already checked. So that's good. Cool. But yeah, I know the practice test well enough that I know that's what's on those questions. So those which questions are on those tests. How many hard mode questions are on the real SAT? The hard module is probably going to have like half of them be hard, maybe 2/3. And again, it's what they classify as hard, but that doesn't mean that they're actually that hard. Like this is annoying. This is hard in a sense, but to me, this is easy in a sense because it's very predictable. This math question, it's very by the book. I know exactly what I'm doing at every step. So good example of just like, yeah, like make sure you know the topics that you know are going to appear, so that way you're as confident and as quick as possible with those topics. And then yeah, there will be stuff you can't prepare for, stuff that's weird, but it's you'll have the time, the strategies will still work, you'll be able to tinker with it. So there you go. And no, the August SAT is not easier or harder than any other test. That is all rumor. If it feels easier or harder to you, it is because it is a perception issue. Maybe you didn't study a particular topic that just happened to show up on your test. Yes, then that test will feel very, very hard. Or maybe you only studied the topics that happened to show on your test and you'll be really confident in everything and it'll feel really easy, but someone else wouldn't feel that way. So it's all very based on your own perception. And remember, if a test feels really easy, that might not even be a good thing. You want the SAT to feel hard. The harder the test, the more likely that the kind of the way that the scoring will work is it'll be forgiving. It'll give you more points, or sorry, it'll take away fewer points for wrong answers. So you do want to, a hard test isn't bad. All right, we got a vocab question here from Nicholas. I don't know if it's a different pronunciation than just Nicholas, but we're gonna find this one for you. Hard vocab is gonna be words in context. Hard. Let's see if we can get it. While I do this, I'm going to do another ad thing. I'm curious if this works. Might as well see if I can make some money. See if anyone gets an ad. Will I search? BBB 77C4. Cool. All right. All right. Try not to look at the answer. Do I know this question? I wish my thing were working. Oop, okay, good. It is back to working. I can double check. I don't want to spoil anything accidentally, so let's try polyploidy. Good, new question. All right, good. Okay. All right, and we're back. All right, so containing over 760 billion base pairs of DNA resulting from polyploidy, duplication, and accumulation of non-coding DNA without significant deletion, the genome of this thing is the largest known among eukaryotes, and given the high biological cost of extremely large genomes, is unlikely to be, okay, so it's large, and the large ones cost something. It is unlikely to be like cheap is almost what I want to say. I know they're not talking cost in terms of money, right? But I don't even know. I don't know. I'm trying to dumb summarize here. I'd love to have a word that I put in the blank, but it's a high cost of large genomes. It's the largest known genome. So it's likely to be costly, right? So likely, costly. That's me copying this, right? Large genomes cost. So it's likely to be costly. So cheap is kind of what I'm looking for. I almost want to say protracted. Protracted means it keeps going, right? Curtailed means shortened. It's unlikely to be. Oh my God, this is a good question. I don't know. I feel like maybe this deletion thing matters in a way. So protracted means it's kind of going on and on. It's long. Superseded means kind of like if something supersedes everything else, it kind of goes in front of it. To curtail is to shorten. And obviate means to kind of like make something useless. I love that word. So nothing jumps out as being obviously right, but let me look at this deletion thing. Okay, containing over them an accumulation of non-coding DNA without significant deletion. Without the genome of this thing is the largest known. And given the high biology of extremely large genomes, is unlikely to be. My dumb summary says C, but my gut says A. What would I do if this were the test? It's the largest known among you. Given the high biology of extremely large. Containing over 160 billion base pairs and resulting from this thing, non-coding DNA without significant deletion. The deletion part seems to matter. Non-coding with that is the largest known. Given the high biological cost of it, is unlikely to be. It's. I want to say A. I don't know. This is a tough one. This is a bookmark. It's B, superseded. Why? Is the best answer because it most logically puts the text discussion at the forefront of the enormous genome. In this context, superseded means surpassed. Oh, okay, duh. That's kind of obvious. I was not thinking about that at all. Okay, I get it. So here's what it is. Yeah, I was kind of focused on the wrong stuff here. Basically, what they're saying is because this thing is so big and it's so costly to have very large genomes, it's probably this New Caledonian fork fern is likely to stay the biggest genomed thing in existence. So nothing else is likely to come in front of it. Nothing else is likely to get a bigger genome. The reason I wasn't thinking of that is just like it makes it sound to me like these animals have a choice and they're like, ooh, I'm gonna get the biggest genome and I'm gonna add more genes. To me, that's not like obviously how genetics works. But I guess what they're saying is right, that it just means like that it would, yeah, it would, we're unlikely to find something else that's already got that bigger genome. I get that. That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one because I know all those words. I just wasn't thinking of superseded in that way. I was really thinking of what we were going to do to this particular genome. I thought that they were going to say it's basically unlikely to be made even longer. That's kind of what I picked A. Let's see if they kind of say that. Is incorrect is in this kind of protected being drawn out over time or space. Yeah, it doesn't fit. I was definitely forcing it in. Right. Like there's assuming large genome carry high biological costs. Information suggests the biological upper limit for genome size may have been reached, and that this thing is therefore unlikely to be surpassed. Yeah, protracted, like if there's like a protracted debate, it goes on and on and on and on. And so it is a time issue. That felt wrong. But I still was like, it's unlikely that we're going to see more genes added to it because it's already so big. That's what I was thinking. Good question. Good question. That's a tough one. Yeah. Let's see. Did anyone have any comments on that one before I? Yeah. Yeah. What are these words? These are not high priority words. This, to me, this is the reading equivalent. This, think about analogies. These words are to reading as the unit circle is to math, right? Unless you're getting a 1580, 1570, and you're really looking for those last few points, 1550, this is not a high priority question. It's the words are hard. I would say curtail is a word you should know. Supersede is a word you should know. Protracted is probably next on that list. Obviate is the most obscure of those. But it's a good example of like when you're studying words, these are hard words that are just very unlikely to show up. So that's why when people come up with word lists and all they do is just go through these question bank questions and find the words in here, that's actually kind of like the opposite of what we should do. We've already seen these words come up. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to come up again. They're so random that if anything, like it's probably more unlikely that a word like obviate comes up again. But I don't know, right? There's only so many words in the English language. At a certain point, the SAT is going to run out of words, and so we don't really know. But it's not the kind of thing like if you're struggling to get to 700, struggling to get to 650, 600, this is not a good use of your time. Is questions like this. This would be one where you do the best you can, you pick your favorite letter, and you move on. Try to go to the passages, because at least with the passages, there's usually multiple versions of any hard word in the passage, so we can have more chances of understanding what's going on. Yeah. Cool. All right. All right. Watermelon Joyer, I see you have a question here. I feel like I skipped you before. College Board categorizes their questions in difficulty from 1 to 7. What do you think is the distribution of difficulty in M1 and M2 composition-wise? So that's a good question. I don't really have a good answer. My way of thinking of it is module 1 is a third easy, a third medium, a third hard, right? Pretty straightforward. Module H is kind of like a sixth easy, a third medium, and then whatever's left, a half hard. There's no science behind this. No science behind this. This is purely kind of my feeling. And that's also because my version of what is easy, medium, and hard is kind of different from the College Boards. Like I'm assuming they call this a hard question, right? This better be a hard question. Yeah, okay. I would consider this a crazy hard question, right? To me, this is that 7 band. So to me, a good like 6 band question actually might be more of this other one from before, this math question. I don't know what they would consider it, but to me, this is hard because it's annoying and it's tedious, but it's not hard because it's got some crazy like special knowledge that you need. This infinitely many solutions thing is going to come up on your test, or they'll talk about lines and the number of solutions in some way. It will come up. Prediction, guaranteed. So in that sense, a hard version of that particular topic, it's still predictable. It's still something that you're like, okay, I've seen this before. It might be more annoying than usual, but it's still the same thing. So I don't know. I don't have a better answer to that. And I think it's very dependent on the person, right? If you know these words really, really well, this question maybe goes from a number 7 to a number 6 to a number 5, right? So it's hard to say. For me, this is hard because the passage I just couldn't follow, but there it is. Cool. All right. All right, Toprak, I know you comment a lot and you're a member, so you get priority here. So that's great. You're going to get this one. I know you want it. You've been chatting it a bunch, so you'll be rewarded. Let me put a little ad thing in while I figure that out. I don't know if these ads are going to do anything, but thank you for being patient with them. All right. I don't even know if you guys are even getting them. All right, let's see. So advanced, nonlinear, hard. Okay. Advanced, nonlinear, hard. Okay. And this is A58. A58. Okay. All right. A58, 23-2, B7. Cool. Okay. Try not to look at the answer. Oh, D's not in the mix. Get D in there. I think this is an old question, actually. I think I have a video on this one. I'm going to check before I do it. This looks familiar. Yeah, no, maybe not. All right. Okay. All right. Which of the following displays? Okay. Desmos. G of x equals 18 times 1.16 times 1.4 to the x plus, I hate that, x plus 2. Let me just make sure. So every time you type in Desmos, make sure you typed it right. The number of people who lose points because they just mistype something in Desmos, you always got to check 18, 1.16, 1.4, x plus 2. Okay, so the minimum where x is greater than 0, well, it looks like it just goes up forever. So the minimum at greater than or equal to 0 would be the y-intercept, which is 40.9248. So I don't see that in this equation, right? So I feel like that's wrong, right? So it's not that one, right? All right, let's try the other one. I'd love for 1 to work. That way I have a little confidence. H of x, I know I don't need to type that, but still. 1.4 to the x plus 4. Turn this off. All right. That same thing. It looks like it goes up forever. So the minimum, right, is 69. I don't see that either. So is D the answer? Yeah. There you go. So the only thing that's weird about that is, right, the minimum, there are way lower numbers than 68.1488 because it goes all the way down here. It is infinite, right? So this probably goes out forever and just approaches 0. So there's no real minimum, but because they're restricting the domain, they are forcing us to kind of start here. So that's the minimum because that's the smallest value of x we could have. But remember, it's not because that's the smallest value of x that's the minimum. It's that it doesn't do anything else. Like I could zoom out. It doesn't look like it's coming back down anywhere, right? It's just going up forever. So if it came back down, that might be a different story. And maybe they do that on a really weird version of this question where like all the way out here at like 300, it pops back down and then you have a little minimum. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what that would look like. But yeah, there you go. Not so bad. Mostly it's if you can't picture what's going on, go to Desmos. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, I think what also bothers people about this is it sounds really crazy. This phrase, right, displays as a constant or coefficient. That just means that the number appears, right? So to just give you an example, I don't think this is actually right, but right, let's take this h of x one, where the minimum is what 69.1488, right? So there's like a k of x hypothetically where 69.1488 times I don't know 2.7 to the x whatever is the thing. In that case, this would check that off because now the minimum value, assuming it creates the same graph, right, is here. So that would work, but I still would check it in Desmos and double check. Like there's no part of me that's like thinking this through. I don't know what these equations are going to look like. They're too bizarre. So my brain, I don't trust my brain. Yep. Okay. Cool. Um, All right, where are we? Anonymous T, if you can give me more than just an ID, where, what's the domain? What's all this stuff? This stuff, the domain, the skill, the difficulty. If you can give me that, way easier for me to find it. I'm just gonna look at some questions here. Are the practice tests reflective of the real test? Yes. Yes. If you got 1450 on the real test, why? That's a better question. Were you nervous? Were you tired? Were you not fully prepared because maybe you were, studying certain topics and then you weren't covering everything? Your strategies, you didn't trust them. There's lots of reasons the score could go down. But I've taken the real test. I've taken all these practice tests. I give them a thumbs up. They seem to match. Um, Uh, Helen, I know you're asking about this question. Yeah, if you plug in 0, that would work to give you the value at 0, but I still think that you don't know what this equation does after that, right? Because it could be that 0 is the minimum, like I'm showing in Desmos, but it could also be that it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna come down somewhere else, and maybe the minimum value where it's greater than x is actually something else. It goes up and then pops down somewhere. So I would have no way of knowing if that's going to do that because I wouldn't know what number to plug in to test that out. So I would just need to see it. I need to see the whole thing. Which if I see a difficult reading question, module 2 or 1, and if I don't understand what the passage is saying, use the choices. Fortnite Sweaty Kid, good name. Use the choices. The choices are usually more understandable than the passage. So if you use the choices, there might be some strong words that you can go looking for in the passage. That's kind of what I did in this one a little bit. Certainly back to the poems. That's all I was doing there. So the choices to me are always more understandable. And so try to let that tell you what to do, but also have a sacrifice plan. When you look at a question and in your first 3 seconds of looking at it, it looks like it's going to be something you can't understand. Skip it, go on to something else, and then hopefully you'll have time to come back and mess with it. But if not, no big deal. How do people make predictions? Are they even accurate or just BS? Watermelon Enjoyer, they are just lying to you. They are lying for clicks. That's what people do on the internet. That's what they do. So, yeah, they want to tell you that they have some secret knowledge. They are literally just picking a topic from a question that either showed up in the question bank, run a practice test, or that they stole from some of the illegal tests that get leaked occasionally. And they are telling you that that question is something you must know because it's going to be on the real test. I don't do that because that's first of all, if you just study, you should be able to predict what's on the test. There's nothing that we've done right now other than maybe some of these like weird words that you really wouldn't be able to predict if you studied for the SAT. This is a great example of it. I love this question because this is very predictable. This will be on your test. And I don't have any special knowledge because of like knowing what's on the August SAT. I just know it because it's on every test. There's a number of solutions for lines, number of solutions for quadratics. It's on every test, right? Understanding the vertex of a parabola is on every test. Understanding singular and plural verbs is on every test. Looking for trap answers in the passages that are quantifiers or comparisons on every test, right? So the things that I can predict are not big predictions. They're just, the SAT is remarkably consistent from one test to the next. The questions are different, but the topics are the same. Good questions though. Let's see. More math. If you guys can find me the questions. Answer text to what? This one? Here you go. I don't even know what it says. Something I would never teach. A function defined by an equation in the form f of x equals a to the ab to the x plus h has a minimum of f of 0. There's no reason to ever know that. This is a dumb explanation. Yeah, dumb. Don't do that. Go to Desmos. Sorry, Vishal. I'm not. It's hard for me to keep up on the chats. I see you were very eager for that. Okay, more math. I can maybe pick some. Yeah. Why can't I? Oh, dealing with the super heavy paragraphs. Davis Little. Go to the choices. I'm telling you guys. I know it's hard to believe, but most of the time I read those dense passages, I don't know what I'm reading either. I know that that's hard to believe, but it's the truth. If you want, right, go to my channel, youtube.com. Oh, I should probably put my thing in. Is this it? Or / Settele Tutoring? I don't even know my own channel. There it is, right? So, where is it? Oh, here. Where it says review your practice tests, right? I have videos for every question on every practice test, including the easy modules, right? So those, if you want the details of any question that you got wrong, go to this, SAT 7 Blue Book 8, right? It's all there. It's all here. So those are good. This playlist, full test walkthroughs, these are really good things to even do like the night or two before the exam. So they're very low stakes, right? You should only watch this if it's a test you've already taken. But you can literally watch me do the question. This is a great one to just happen upon, right? Because this question I remember from the practice test is a giant nightmare. And so pick a test that you have done recently and watch me do it. You will see in the reading passages so many times me going like, wait, what? What's going on? I don't understand this. I don't know either. So it then takes a little bit of confidence to be able to be like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but let me see what the choices tell me. Let me see if I can match words. That's literally all I'm doing. I'm just kind of following that. So that's there. That's the walkthrough playlist. Very good. All right. Any other requests? Oh my God, this thing keeps jumping around. All right. Okay. Reaper, did you have a question here? Percentages, maybe. Let me just see what's going on here. I'm going to do another little ad thing. Are you guys getting the ads? I'm curious. I'm just going to look at this for a sec. The statement of the last question, Abdul, I'm not sure you're asking about this one. This one with this thing. I trust Mike more than my cat. I don't trust cats, so that's not actually saying much. Okay. The one where I use Desmos. Yeah. So this one, right? With this. So yeah. Yeah, so I'm not sure what else to say about it. I put it in Desmos. It says here to find the minimum, basically, where x is greater than 0. Yes, there's low numbers on the left side of the graph, but the minimum value is clearly the y-intercept. So I just looked at the y-intercepts, and they're not appearing in the graph. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what this is. This makes no sense to me. This is stupid. Don't do this. Their version of this is dumb. Okay. So, Faris, if you can give me more than that. I can't find a random one without any sort of background. If it's math, try to give me a difficulty. Try to give me a type. These domains and skills. The infinite solutions thing, there's not much more to say. It's just that this is a thing to memorize. Infinitely many solutions means that they're the same line. If it said no solutions, then they would be parallel lines, so they'd have the same slope, but different y-intercepts. If it was one solution, then the slopes are different. That you can find, speaking of things that I already have plenty of info on. Where is it? Learn grammar, nope. Reading help, math topics, formulas and concepts. Oh, look, there it is. Number of solutions right in the front queue. Number of solutions, no x squared. these are great playlists to also go through the night before the test. Very passive, just learn. Don't do a lot of questions the night before the test. Just let information get absorbed without expending any energy in your brain. Show the answer text. This, don't read this. This sucks. I'm telling you, this sucks. This is terrible. It's bad. Okay. Okay. There is a minimum. The minimum for this is because it's telling me to go greater than 0. The minimum value where x is 0 or greater is the y-intercept. Because look, it goes up. So the minimum I told you is 69.1488. But that number does not appear as a constant or coefficient in the equation. So that there is a minimum. I just don't, it needs to appear in the equation, right? So I'll put this back just because I know you guys want to read this for some reason. But here, y equals 3x minus 5. This is a good example where the y-intercept appears as a constant or coefficient, right? Because what is the y-intercept? It's where x is 0. What's the y-coordinate, right? It's -5. I could graph it and show you, but right, you know this. It's a line. So this is a case where, yes, the y-intercept appears as a constant or coefficient. Here, the minimum is just a random thing that they told me to find. I'm following instructions. That's it. There's no formula. There's no fact to memorize here. I know nothing about this question other than they told me to find something. I found it. It's not where I want it to be, and that's that, right? The minimum within the range they gave me is 69.1488 for this equation. So I don't see 69.1488 in here. A constant would be the 1.4, the 4. A coefficient would be 18. So like, I think Abdullah, your issue is like, you want there to be more to this question. There isn't. I promise. It's much simpler than you think. It's literally just like, all right, they told me to go find something. It's not there. So that's that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we arguing about stuff in here? I don't care. I don't know what we're arguing about. It seems like you're asking whether I'm the best. Of course I am the best, without any doubt. Without any doubt. Not only am I the best, but no one is even close. No one is even close. I could take on any other SAT tutor in a fight. I would obviously win. I could take them on in Jeopardy or SATs or whatever. Not even close. I'm kidding. I don't know. Other people are nice. Go check out Kyle's channel, Tutorlini. I'll send you that link. I like Kyle. He's a good guy. I can never spell his channel name, though. The double letter throws me off. But I'm going to put it in the chat. So you love math, check out his channel. I'm going to pin it. Cool. Okay. All right. So see, Toprak knows how to do it. Linear equations in one variable hard. Yeah. If you give me that stuff, I'm going to do this for a little bit longer because I want to get lunch. But we can do one or two more here. Is this the math one? Yeah. Okay. So what'd you say? I keep scrolling away. Linear equations, one variable hard. I don't need this. Uncheck that. Hard. What are we doing? F144. There it is. Okay, got some answers. It feels like an arithmetize. I haven't even read it yet, and it feels like an arithmetize, but we can see. I love that there's numbers in, or letters rather, in the question and in the choices, but let's see. A manufacturing plant makes 10-inch, 9-inch, and 7-inch frying pans during a certain day. The number of 10-inch frying pans that the manufacturing plant makes is 4 times the number n of 9-inch frying pans it makes, and the number of 7-inch frying pans it makes is 10. During this day, the manufacturing plant makes 100 frying pans total. Ugh, okay. So this is another example of just like follow instructions. So they say which 10 7-inchers, fine. And during a certain day, the number of 10-inch frying pans in the manufactured plant is 4 times the number n. So n is the number of 9-inch. So this is 4 times that, so 4n. And then they add that all up, right? So shouldn't that just be 4n plus 10? Isn't it just d? Am I missing something? Yeah, d. I think you're getting freaked out by the number of inches, right? Who cares though, right? They're not saying what's the total number of inches of pan that they're making, right? So that gets rid of this. A doesn't matter. B, they just told me that there's 10 7-inchers. So even still, I don't care about that's not an n. And then C is just forgetting that you got to add them all up. And yes, the 10 inches is the 10-inch ones is 4 times the 9-inch ones, but you got to put the 9-inch ones in, right? You can't forget that. So that's the difference between C and D. But you don't need to arithmetize here. I guess you probably could solve for n, right? Because they're giving us an equation. You could solve for it and test it out. And funny enough, right? If you do that, 4n plus 10, right? So that's 4n is equal to 90. That's n is equal to what? Half of 45, 22.5. Am I doing that right? That doesn't even make sense, right? Whereas 5n equals 90, n is 18. So at least we get a number for n. That makes sense. So yeah, you can always do that. That's a nice way to go about it. Tima, I don't know what to tell you. You know, if you want someone who's sure of everything, I think you're going to be disappointed in life. That people who claim to be sure of everything, they usually are not. They're usually lying to you. So, not to call you out, but I would just impart some life advice. Okay, Faris, you got a thing for me here. All right, cool. Yep, you found it. All right, we're going to do it. All right, geometry and trigonometry. Cool. All right, get rid of that. Geometry and trig. Skill is lines, angles, and triangles. Difficulty hard. All right. Lines, angles, and triangles. Yeah. Yes. Okay. FECC. All right. Again, try not to look at the answer. Oh, someone asked me about this one once. I don't know, recently as well. I forget where it was, but someone asked me about this one. It's a good question. And again, before I even read it, I think I'm going to probably arithmetize, right? At least the thought crosses my mind because I see a variable in the choices. I see a variable in the question. It probably means the variable doesn't matter. Maybe I can make something up. So a line intersects 2 parallel lines forming 4 acute angles and 4 obtuse angles. That is a very stupid way of just saying this. Parallel lines, this, right? We've seen this. They give you this picture most of the time. They just decided to make it harder by describing it. The measure of one of these 8 angles is 7x minus 250. So I don't know if it's the acute one, the obtuse one. Let's leave it out. The sum of the measures of 4 of the 8 angles is k. Okay, which the fund cannot be equivalent to k for all values of x. Well, this is just, to me, insane. I don't know where this is going, but I'm like, all right, let's pick a value for x. Let's turn this 7x minus 250 into a value. So I've got to be careful because I can't pick like stuff like I normally pick. I'd want to make like x1, but then it's 7 minus 250. I can't have a negative angle. That's going to just break my brain about how this works, right? So I'm going to make it 50. That way, 7 times 50 minus 250. 7 times 50 is 350. Minus 250 is 100, right? So this angle is 100, right? This one. So if I put 100 here, right, then everything can be filled in because these are all supplementary angles, vertical angles, whatever they're called, alternate interior angles. But the whole point of parallel lines is everything is kind of the same or supplementary. So that's great. So which the fund cannot be equivalent to k for all values of x. So here's the clue as well that you can arithmetize is for all values of x, right? So pick a value of x and then do it, right? The one thing I wouldn't want to happen, I wouldn't want in some way my angles to be 90. I know that would be a problem, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that would be the thing I'd be worried about. But 360, that's easy to prove because any of these groups of 4 is going to be 360, right? So 100, 100, 80, 80, it's a full circle. So basically they're just telling you pick 4 random ones. So this is the easiest to prove. But let's see, what is negative 14x plus 1540? So negative 14 times 50 plus 1540, I'm using my calculator, is 840. Seems kind of high. 14 times 50 minus 320, B, is 380. And negative 28 times 50 plus 1720 is 320. All right, so it feels like A is the answer, but I'm going to try to prove it. First of all, I need to get four angles that add to 840. The biggest angle I've got is 100. So if I added the four biggest angles, that's only 400 total. So I can't get this, right? It cannot be equivalent. But can I get 380? Yeah, right? I can get 380 by doing this one, this one, this one, and this one. 380. So check, proven. Can I get 320? Yeah, right? So that would be 80, 80, 80, 80, right? So that's 8 times 4 is 32. So check. So there you go. Proof. Really good question. That was a good one to ask. I'm glad you found it because this is definitely one where my brain cannot process this information unless I've got numbers. And I think that that's just a generally good thing to remember is unless you were this hypothetical, perfectly confident SAT tutor that might exist out there, you are going to encounter limitations in your brain, things that your brain is good at, things your brain is not good at. I think it's pretty universal that human brains are much better when they have numbers to add and subtract and multiply and divide rather than they have these hypothetical equations and variables to deal with. So rather than deal with both the letters and the numbers, my brain says, let's get rid of the letters. Let's make the numbers just the only thing to worry about. And suddenly this whole thing is easy to process. I understand what they're asking even better. Like it's everything about this gets so much easier. Cool. All right. You asked me another one, Toprak? But let's see. The questions on this one, because this is a good question before I get all carried away. The new questions are honestly my impression of the new questions on this from the question bank is they're the same stuff we've always seen. There's very little that's been like, oh my God, I can't believe they added this. So everything is very boring. They're new questions, but they're not new ideas. All right. I appreciate you all arguing about me, but trust me, I don't care. Okay. Is there a quicker way than just going through all the possible combinations for K? I don't know if you asked that before I arithmetized, Faris, but there's probably something you can realize with this. In fact, let's look at what they say. Let's say what they say. I think this is going to be confusing. So if one of them is 7x minus 250, if I was at a supplementary angle as a measure of 180 minus 7x minus 250, okay, or negative 7x plus 430, it's also given the sum of the measures of 4 of the 8 angles is k. If I was the possible values of k, oh my God, who would do this? This is so awful. No, this is so bad. This see, these explanations are so crazy. Just there's probably something with A where like you realize that there's no way to add up the biggest angles to get this number, right? Like 840 is too big compared to anything else. I notice 380, 320, 360, we're orbiting around that idea that there's going to be like a massive, there's going to be a kind of a way to stay with, literally in a full circle. So there might be something that people realize like 1540 divided by 4 is 385. So it's not great that you're already at 385. I don't know. But there's a negative for the x. So I don't really know. There might be something, but I wouldn't trust it. Basically, I'm always thinking with any math question, am I thinking about math or am I doing math? What I showed here on the screen, this is doing math, right? I found numbers, I plugged them in, I added numbers. That's doing math. I used a calculator. Thinking about math is being like, well, this equation behaves in such a certain way that it's going to do this, but that's always riskier. I just think that our brain logic that's good and logic that's bad kind of feel the same in our brains. And so I don't want to use logic. I want to solve it. Cool. All right. Toprak, is this a new question or is this the one we did? Oh, standard English conventions. Okay. This might be the last one because I'm starving. Um, Chubub, I think we did the question that you're asking about. You might have missed it, but we did that question. It's all the way at the beginning. I think it was like the third thing I did. So I would say definitely just when this goes live, when it's posts, just watch that again. It's there. If you finish before 15 to 27, if you finish questions 15 to 27 and reading in before 10 minutes, that's great. But if you finish after, if it's a little bit after, I wouldn't worry about it. So if it's 11 or 12 minutes, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if it's 15 minutes, then you're going to have trouble getting those passages. So my advice is make sure those rules are confident. When I look at a grammar question, which we're about to do, I can look at a rule really quickly. Like I know exactly what rule it is. So standard, hard. All right. This is going to be a longer list. Oh. There's only 47 hard grammar questions in the entire thing. Am I doing that right? That's not a lot. FCED 396A. Okay. Okay. All right. I can already tell this is going to be a modifiers question because the answer choices are long and jumbled. So that's a great example of use, if you know the rules. Where am I looking now? Here we go. If you know the rules, then it becomes really easy to tell what rule is tested. The only real rule where the answer choices are long and jumbled is the rule about modifiers. And so that's already on my mind. And I might be wrong, but let's see. Okay, well, this looks like perfect modifiers because we got a long intro clause compared with that of a highly concentrated market. Okay. So I can tell, too, that this double dash is just getting in the way. So I'm probably going to be able to cross this out. It's just interrupting. So this is the modifier right here, this piece. And the thing with the modifier is you want to turn it into a question. And then the answer to that question should be what we talk about. So compared with that of a highly concentrated market. So compared with what of a highly concentrated market, right? What are we comparing? What is the that? It's not the market that I'm interested in. I'm assuming it's the score. I'm assuming it's B, but I'm not quite done yet. This index is commonly used measure of competition. Okay, so this is some score. So compared with the index of a highly concentrated market, the index score of a less concentrated market will be much lower. Yeah, it's got to be B. No choice. I have no choice in the matter. It has nothing to do with any of the words back here. It has only everything to do with the words up here because I need to start off with the thing I'm talking about. The twist in this question, the thing that makes it hard, is we really want to say that we're talking about the market, but we're not. We're talking about the index of this market, right? So you got to be careful there. Let's just make sure it is B. Yeah, it is B. So how would I know that? Honestly, it's just a little practice. It's the comparison needs to be parallel. So we're not comparing the markets, we're comparing the indexes of the markets. So I need the second half to kind of be parallel to that. It's a sneaky little twist. It's one you're unlikely to see, but you are very likely to see a modifier question on your hard module or even in the first module, and it will be very recognizable. You should know if you're worried about pacing on the grammar, if it takes you more than a second to realize this is a modifiers question and to know what rule you've got, then that's where you're losing time. It takes me no time at all to realize that. So yeah, make sure you know the rules, make sure you know what the rules look like as you're going through. Yeah, this is a new question. I've never done this one before. So I don't know. I've never seen this one. Okay. All right, let me catch my breath here, and then I'm going to close out because, like I said, starving. But maybe I'll do one of these later tonight. Maybe I'll do one tomorrow. I honestly don't know. It's very busy, so I don't know. But we'll see if I'll post it if so. Let's just see if there's any quick questions. I see some old friends here. Mapper Diol, I know I've seen you before. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing your thing right, but that's okay. Okay. We did some English, Darshan, so that's all at the beginning. This will post in a second. Um, AA434. I might be able to do this steep. Let me see. Might be a quick one. AA44. Let's see if I can find it. It's on this page. This might be on a test. AA4. I don't see it. I got everything checked. So it's not a hard question technically, so maybe. Okay. Let's do this. I might not be able to find it fast, and thus I might not be able to do it. I'm not finding it. But that does remind me, I did find that one that someone asked about before. I've already forgotten, but it was the one with the putatively. It should be. That was from a test, so just to warn you, that one. Oh, maybe is it from a test? Yeah, that's from test 10. So this is a video that someone requested before for this question about Adam Smith, I believe, and something was putatively something else. This is from a test. So don't watch that video unless you want that test. Toprak, you're you're bribing me here. Okay, fine. F10. F10. Is it hard, you said? Form and structure and sense, hard? All right. F10, B7? Yep. All right. I already know the answer. I don't even need to put it in. You got to know this. I'm gonna. Since you want a last one, I'm gonna give you a little piece of advice. You've got to be able to get this, right? This is plural. This is singular. This is singular. This is singular. It's A. Yep. Don't even need to read it. So why? Why don't I need to read it? Because as soon as I see it, I know that it's testing verbs. And as soon as I see any verb question, right, the first thing I need to do, first thing, high priority, is identify singulars and plurals. That is a huge skill. Again, talking about pacing on the grammar, you got to be able to do that really fast. Singular verbs end in S. Has, fascinates, is, all of those are singular. Fascinate is plural. Got to get it fast. So now, why is that the correct answer, A? Well, because it's the 3 versus 1 rule. Says that, if we have 3 of one type and 1 of the other, specifically for this verb agreement rule, if it's any other grammar rule, any other part of the SAT, this doesn't work. It's just this one thing. But then we should pick the one that's different. So that's A, right? So just to be really clear, A, B, C, D. A is plural, singular, singular, singular. Just pick that and be done. But if you can prove it, you want to look for a plural subject. So shrewd an observer is Shonagon, a lady in waiting to Empress Teishi, that her books musings on 10th century Japanese courtly life fascinate readers 1,000 years later. The musings. The musings is the subject. On 10th century Japanese courtly life is a prepositional phrase, so that doesn't have any subject that we can use. And the word that is kind of almost resetting the sentence in a way. It's now a clause, and that clause has its own kind of subject verb pairing. So musings. But again, you don't need to worry about any of that. The 3 versus 1 thing is going to work. If it doesn't work, it's going to be a very rare question, and you just don't worry about those. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but you try the best you can. And the best thing about the SAT is it's very predictable, but it also is unpredictable in certain ways. So, be prepared on your August SAT to see things you've never seen before. But only on the surface have you never seen it before, right? Most of that stuff is just something you've seen in disguise. But also, too, yes, there might be something really weird that just breaks our patterns, but there's so few of those things that if you're good on all the predictable stuff, you can, first of all, sacrifice some of the unpredictable stuff, but also you'll have the time to do the unpredictable stuff and work your way through it. That's a very important thing. So if you did 3 versus 1, oh, so you got it right, is what you're saying, Toprak. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And thank you. Cool. The I'll just kind of quickly hit some of these questions here at the end. The to and ing rule is mostly about knowing that it's being tested and knowing to think about the sentence structure. There is no set way to go about that. There is no set like always use a comma, always use the ing. It's really hard. It's very dependent on the situation. But if you know it's the to and ing rule, you've got to be able to like force yourself to find the sentence. What is the main sentence? So I wish there were better advice I could give there, but it's very dependent on the specifics. August SAT will not be harder. Voki, whoever said that, just get rid of that video. Get rid of that person, block them, doesn't matter. They're wrong. You can never finish questions 12 to 14. That just might be you're running out of time. That's okay. But my advice is don't worry about 12 to 14. Try to find the questions that you're best using, you're best at. And maybe question 11 is taking so much time that you could have done 12 and 13 in that time. So that's the important thing is don't feel like you got to go in order. I did not review the new SAT book yet, but I can tell you it's not good, Maper Joel. It is just the same stuff that you get for free in the question bank. And we're going to spoil the practice tests. So I would not worry about that. Information ideas questions, definitely check out my strategy series and my reading topics, reading help. And these are all good things to review before the test. Start your prep here, right? I know we started here with the dumb summaries and the strong words and all that, trap answers, but it's also a good place to end on Thursday and Friday is to, go back to the stuff that got you where you are now, right? And make sure you're really using those strategies. You're thinking about the nuances. You don't really want to be doing any sort of intense practice today or tomorrow. You want to be starting to rest your brain. The most important thing at this point is that you actually get some sleep. So I don't know what time it is where all of you guys are living, but some of you are probably up past your bedtime, and that means you should go to sleep and make sure that you are well rested. Because if you're worried about understanding the passages, worried about the strategies for math, if you're too tired, you're not going to understand what you're reading. Definitely not. Cool. I definitely recommend Faris doing the medium math questions because they might not be medium to you, right? And if you're going slow on a medium one, you should be asking, why am I going slow on something that's not supposed to be that hard, right? So you should be doing those and trying to be speedy. Hard question bank, nope. I think, Alex, the key with any of the question bank stuff is as much as I'm filtering by difficulty, I made a video on this recently. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere in here about, I think it's in here. Somewhere in here. I can't find it right now, but here, it's this playlist. Go away. Where to find them? Practices procedures. It's somewhere in here. Yes. How to use the question bank. That's a good one. I think it's this one. What makes an SAT question hard? This is a good one to make sure that you are, using the difficulty labels in the College Board question bank correctly. We did a lot of hard questions today, but my honest advice is that for both reading and math, you should be doing a little of everything. In reading, we don't have the ability to distinguish an easy, medium, and hard question. They're all grouped together in every module, including the hard module. So you don't know if something's easy because it's truly easy or something's easy because you're falling for a trap. So it's very important in reading to kind of learn what a true easy question is like versus what a trap feels like so that you can understand when you're falling into one. So, if you're only practicing the hard questions, you're never really going to get a sense of when something is truly easy. So I think it's good to practice everything there. And then in math, people always complain about, I'm struggling with the hard questions. I don't have enough time for the hard questions. What do I do to get better at the hard questions? If you're struggling with the hard questions, odds are good it's because you're not doing what you're supposed to do on the easy and medium ones. You're going too slow there. You don't have the facts memorized. You're not using the strategies correctly. So if you really want to do better on hard stuff in both sections, the easy and medium stuff is vital. It's vital. You got to do that stuff. All right, I'm going to go. I think that I've answered plenty of questions. Feel free once this goes live. If there's a question I missed, there's just so many. I appreciate you guys so much for chatting all this time and hanging with me. I hope I was able to get through enough of what you wanted, but please definitely let me know if you have other questions. Just comment on this, comment on other videos. I want to spend the rest of the day trying to get to your comments, and maybe I'll make another video or two of random things, but we will see. But thank you guys for watching my channel. This is the best. I've got the most views I've ever had. So that's awesome. I'm very, very excited about that. And it's because of you guys. So thank you so much for that. And remember, if you're looking for more questions, you can always click on any video, this join button, and it will tell you about my channel membership. That's a very easy way to get access to some more stuff. So give that a check out. Thank you guys. Best of luck on your August SAT. And yeah, get some sleep. No stress studying. Everyone should be putting that stuff away and making sure you're all good to be well rested and focused for your test. But thank you guys so much. And I am going to log off once I find the button. I think it's here somewhere. I honestly don't know. Now this is embarrassing. Okay, how do I end the stream? Turn off? No. Sign out? Refresh? I don't even know. I lost track of it all. Oh, it's here. It's here. There we go. And finally, bye.